Hello my Funatics, it is Fufu here, and I am here with my friend John, aka PokeMEN. Say hi.
Hello everybody.
And we are here today to talk about the suspect test in PU that you must have heard quite a lot about from our channels and maybe elsewhere too, of Vigoroth and Exeggutor. This is going to be like a discussion of our opinions because we have both successfully got the Rex for the vote, and we will be voting, which is all very exciting for us. I think it's both our first times, isn't it?
Oh yeah, we don't even know how we're gonna vote, but we got it. We signed up. We're there. We'll do it. It'll happen.
Voting virginity is going to be taken. But anyways, so I thought I would kick off the discussion with Vigoroth. Now, if you don't know, this guy is super bulky with the Eviolite, and he is a very, very scary threat because of his amazing stall breaking set. What this set is, it's bulk up, slack off, and return with either substitute or taunt. It can set up on so many things. People think that it's completely walled by ghost types, but actually it can PP stall ghost types if they, and with a sub or taunt it can avoid getting Will-O-Wisped, and obviously this is just a Vigoroth on your team. If you have support to take out ghost types, then Vigoroth can run havoc. There are very, very few stops to it. Only faster ghost types like Misdreavus can burn it. There are powerful fighting types in the tier that can dent it, but if Vigoroth has got prior damage or if it's already set up, then things like Machoke won't beat it. It will beat Machoke. So it's just a very scary Pokemon, and it makes the tier, the meta, a very different place because you can't really run stall just because of this one Pokemon. It's so hard to deal with good team support. It tears apart pretty much any team. I think you could probably guess how I feel about it from the way I presented the information to you, but I think it's very good, and I'm probably going to vote ban. How do you feel, John?
It's got to get banned. I'm going to start off with that. It's just, when you look at its stats, you might not be overwhelmed at first, but the 80 HP, the 80 defense, and the 90 speed are really scary. You put an Eviolite on that, that's now 80 HP plus 120 defense, and obviously special defense isn't as high, but
fully invested is a huge stat.
It's a lot different when you fully invest in it, because it gets it to like what, the 70-ish? It's somewhere around there, plus it's so the main thing about this that I really am scared about, I don't like it as much as the 90 speed. There's not many things that outspeed it. You can always taunt it so they can't status you, which is huge. There is a few fighting types that kind of can check it if it doesn't have a sub up and a bulk up. But like, let's just say one thing I was using on my team to stop a lot of normal types. There's a lot of good normal types. I'd be using Relicanth. So I could go for head smashes that do a lot of damage. If he's set up, then that's going to suck. Especially behind a sub, I could miss. If I go for waterfall, he's just going to bulk up until I can't break his sub and he beats me. And he can taunt, so I can't talk. It's too fast. The wall breaking capabilities are incredible. And we're not even talking about the fact that you put 5 other mons on your team. Like, this thing can 6-0 teams easily.
Exactly.
It has the capability to do that.
And all you need to do is like put a wall breaker on that can take out threats to it. Like a Stoutland would tempt in the same things that resist normal types and be able to take them out with superpower or moves like that with a powerful choice band. And then Vigoroth will have plenty of opportunities to set up later on with nothing to take the returns. So it is really scary. When it's got a bulk up, its defense and special defense are sky high if you're investing in the special defense, and it's just really terrifying. So yeah, I'm voting ban. I think John, you are too. And I'm hoping that this guy just goes. What I'm a bit worried about was when I was laddering for Rex, I didn't actually see this guy too much. And I'm hoping that he's not just going to get overlooked. People think, oh, I didn't have too much trouble with Vigoroth just because they didn't actually see that many. So that's what I'm hoping. But we'll see how that turns out soon, I guess.
Well, one thing we didn't say, I just don't want to, or just not talk about anything with it, is there's not many Pokemon with reliable recovery. And Vigoroth is one of the things that does have slack off, which is one of the really scary things about it, you know, a lot of things in the tier, you'll see a lot of really bulky things. You'll see rest talk. You'll see just assault vest things. You know, every once in a while you might see a roost here and there. They're going to be hurt by rocks though, but just a regular slack off or something not hurt by rocks and being this bulky and the speed it has. Think about what if Mischievous with that speed had roost or slack off, whatever.
That would be so
recover.
There's Avalog as well with recover and some things with
but
synthesis as well. Yeah, but synthesis only has 8 PP.
Synthesis,
and
it's one of a kind.
It is one of a kind, and the fact that it has taunt to stop anyone else using those moves anyway, so nothing can outstall it. Vigoroth is really spooky. Really spooky.
We can move on. I just it doesn't have many counters. It doesn't have many checks. And you can build around to this.
You can build around it pretty easily, really. Yeah, there are a number of ways you can go about trying to take out the things that would potentially stop it. So yes, we're gonna leave that as that. I think Vigoroth, we both think should go, and we both think it's pretty obvious that it should go. So hopefully people will vote that way, but we're not sure. And we'll move on to Exeggutor. So John, do you want to lead this discussion?
I can start with Exeggutor. Now Exeggutor it's a lot more difficult. It's a mon that recently got dropped from NU to PU, and in my opinion, I think it's a little bit too powerful. Now, if it was not banned, I wouldn't be upset. If it was banned, I wouldn't be upset. But I'm going to lean a little bit more towards I'd be a little happier if it was banned. It makes complete stall a lot more difficult, and neither me or Sam likes stall, but when you have a mon, especially, I mean, Vigoroth helps with this too, but Exeggutor really just kind of eliminates the ability to use a certain kind of a stall team, you know. Psychic and Psyshock just together, you know, either a Psyshock coming your way or a Psychic, any wall is going to get hit. It's so hard. I mean, this is PU. There's mons that aren't as strong, and once you put a choice specs on 125 special attack or base special attack Pokemon, it's powerful. There's 95 HP, 85 defense, which a lot of people sleep on, but that's actually pretty decent especially for a special mon. And the 55 speed. Now, when you look at that bad speed, PU, kind of a decent speed if you put max investment in there, but I'm gonna even ignore the Giga Drain and Leaf Storm. Those, it's obvious. Those are powerful. They deal with a lot of rock setters. They deal with every single rock setter, I think, except for Monferno, which gets killed by Psychic. What rock setter can set up rocks on a Exeggutor? Is there any?
Obviously the ones with Sturdy can try, but then they will just die anyway.
I was just trying to think. Obviously the Sturdy more, as you said, but beyond that, it's
it did with Clefairy, but that's not as relevant anymore, and I don't even think it can, because it would... Oh no, it does run Spadaf. It does run Spadaf.
Screw that, Psyshock.
Psyshock, yeah, that's true.
But the big one that me and Sam were talking about, there's two things. Obviously, Volibee and Zweilous are the two counters to Exeggutor. I've seen so many Volibees recently.
Yeah,
I was not seeing Volibees before.
It's just because of Exeggutor, the rise of Volibee.
Which it's scary, because I think if Exeggutor is left around, it can adapt to the tier. Unlike Vigoroth, Vigoroth has one or two sets, mostly just one, but Exeggutor, you can run a variety of different things. You know, Life Orb and Choice Specs are the main things right now, but you can throw an Ancient Power for Volibee if you really want to. You know, you can run HP fighting. It's not going to do as much as Wellius, but it's still super effective, and that hits things like Pawniard and Probopass, and there's other things that HP fighting can hit. But the sleep powder as well too. You can put stuff to sleep. You can put up Sunny Day. Then there's chlorophyll. There's a lot of things it can do, and the mind games are really difficult. And the last thing I'm going to say before I let Sam say anything is, on my team, I was able to deal with Exeggutor, but I also had an Assault Vest Sapsif or Bouffalon and Assault Vest Bahian. But I still found if my opponent made the right prediction, I could just lose one of them to the Exeggutor or be forced to switch something in and take another huge hit, just because either Leaf Storm or Psyshock's going to do a ton of damage. And there are not many things that can switch in. You know, the things that we talked about with reliable recovery, like the grass types, Roselia or Tangela. Well, Roselia is going to get outcode, and Tangela does not want to take two Psychics at all, or an HB Fire is going to do a ton. So it's difficult to play around. You have to team build for it. You have to be ready for it, and it's not completely over-centralizing, but it is moving the meta significantly, and you can see what it's doing to the meta by itself. And I'm sorry if I rambled a little bit, Sam.
No, that's good. You've covered a lot of very important points to cover. the counter argument that a lot of people use is that Exeggutor is very, very easily checked. So though, yes, it may get a kill, you can then pretty easily come in with something to U-turn and threaten it out, or fire types. There are loads of ice types. Water types with ice coverage will still take it out because its special defense is not the best. So people say that you can check it with a number of things, which is true. But if it's getting a kill every time it comes in, that's pretty ridiculous. And the fact that, as John said, it can take on so many things. There's only one guaranteed switch on the website that's on Smogon forums. They say that Xylas is the only guaranteed switch in because it's this is the specially defensive Xylas set with Rest Talk, so it doesn't mind being put to sleep. It resists the grass stabs. It's immune to the psychic and any other coverage. People don't carry coverage for Xylas. But Xylas is not really around at all. Vullaby is a good one because it has Overcoat for the sleep powder and it can take the moves, but there is the possibility you could run Ancient Power if you were worried about Vullaby or wanted to remove it for any reason. Then Exeggutor could be a cool way to take down Vullabys. I don't know, it's a very scary mod. I've been much more on the fence because I'm kind of partial to it. I've been using it on a really cool Trick Room team and I like it. I like how it works, but I shouldn't use that logic to say that it shouldn't go because it was effective.
Yeah.
I do kind of worry when I see them on opposing teams. They are scary, and I think I am also leaning towards getting rid of it because it would open up a lot more options for team building for balance. If on balance teams you're always forced to run a Vullaby just to have something to switch into Exeggutor, then that's kind of not cool. And so
it's an ugly Pokemon. I don't want to use it.
Vullaby, yeah, no, it's not very pretty. It's not very cool either. But it does a job. It's kind of cool that it's got a niche now. I quite like it. Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. I do think that if I do think I'm going to vote to get rid of Exeggutor. I'm interested to see how if both mons are removed, I'm interested to see how the meta would shift and whether we would see more stall teams and defensive teams, because actually I do quite like womping a good stall team. That's always very satisfying. So I wouldn't mind seeing a few more of them just so that there's a bit more variability and yeah, you can...
But before we end though, I do have one important thing. So both of us know how effective Rotom Frost is right now. And actually, I think there's a really interesting correlation between Exeggutor and Rotom Frost, because Rotom Frost can help get rid of Exeggutor and really, show why it's, I guess, exploited easily, because you can put it on a really good Volt Turn core, and obviously Exeggutor can't deal with U-Turn, Exeggutor can't deal with Blizzard, so it can force a lot of switches, especially when Exeggutor is in, and Exeggutor I don't think outspeeds Rotom's natural.
No, it doesn't. Rotom is 86, I think.
Yeah, so it's way above. I was just making sure. But at the same time, Exeggutor, you can pair Rotom Frost with Exeggutor and take out things like Zweilous and Vullaby.
Yeah.
It's just, it pairs really well with it and it destroys it. And I feel like that's one of the more over-centralizing mons. You see it on a ton of top teams.
Yeah. Rotom Frost is really great in the tier now. I've heard whispers about that being the next suspect. So,
right.
Yeah.
And that's the thought. Together, I think it's an easy... If you paired them together and said, vote the couple out, I think it becomes a lot easier when it's just one. Maybe Rotom Frost isn't as deadly. That's why
I always find suspects interesting, because people look at the Pokemon like separate to anything, but you need to remember that this will have a whole team to support it, which makes it even more terrifying. There will be potential for hazards and stuff like that, and that's where Exeggutor definitely becomes more scary, when it can have Sun support, or it can have the free switch-ins that it needs to threaten balanced teams or whatever. So it is a really scary mon. It's a really scary mon. I can say from my own experience, having it on a Trick Room team as a powerful Trick Room setter with offensive capabilities and being able to set up Trick Room, and with the bulk that John mentioned, like, it can live some things you just didn't think it would be able to live because of that bulk. It's a really cool mon, but I do think that it's probably appropriate for it to go.
So before we end, the last final thing is, Remember how broken the harvest sets used to be in like NU?
Yeah.
I haven't seen one Harvest Exeggutor. What if
Yeah.
that eventually became standard in this tier?
Yeah, I was using Harvest Citrus for my Trick Room setter just because it's got a bit more bulk. Yeah, but it's Harvest Citrus with... It's an offensive harvest set because I wanted the harvest to kick in when I was setting up the Trick Room so I could get some health back before then going on to attack more. And it worked kind of well. It worked better than any other item I think would have done. Obviously I don't want Chlorophyll in case Sun does get set up and then I become faster and don't outspeed stuff in Trick Room, which would be awful. So yeah, I was just trying that out. But I think there are maybe better subseeders around than that Exeggutor right now because of the speed and because of things like infiltrator users. Users, so like Ninjask is really good right now, and Infiltrator Jumpluff, and also sound moves like Boom Burst Chatot, which is really good against offense, which is obviously Exeggutor is good for. So things like that would hit through subs, that may prevent it from being good. And just because the offensive set is so incredible, like I think it would you'd be passing up something that it's actually probably better at right now. So yeah, but it's a cool mon. But I think I will be voting to ban. I wouldn't be upset if it stays because it just means I can carry on using my awesome.
Oh god, if it stays, I'm making Exeggutor teams. You're gonna see a Sun team. You're gonna see physical. I mean, hey, let's look at its physical side. 95 attack. Oh wait, rock slide.
It gets like wood hammer and
explosion. If you
explosion. Yes.
It does get wood hammer too. It gets Zen headbutt. Like, it's not as powerful as the special, but if the meta gets so used to special Exeggutor, you could make some noise with
does it get natural gift? Harvest natural gift could be kind of fun. I don't think it does. I'm not sure.
That would be beautiful.
Anyways,
it does.
Yeah, that could be. It does. That would be pretty fun. That would be pretty fun.
That's the thing. I think if it stays, there are just so many things it can do that it's just going to be ridiculous.
Yeah.
You could even make a fun infestation set if you really want to be that person.
But anyways, I think that's all we're going to talk about today. So basically, we both are probably going to try and ban both Pokemon. Just really because we want to see what the meta would be like afterwards to see if it would shift at all. But please let us know your comments on how you think this suspect should go, whether you think we should get rid of them or whether you think we should keep them, and your experiences using them or fighting against them. That would be really cool to hear.
In a nice way, in a positive way. Don't, if you don't agree with us, don't rip us apart. I know the Funatics are some fantastic people, but just, you always see that one person who doesn't agree. Like, oh, they got to keep it. Just, if you agree, don't be an ass. Just
explain why you think that way, because we'd be interested to hear. You might catch us in time before you vote. Who knows? And you might change our minds. But anyways, that's all for today. I've been Fufu. You've been awesome, and hopefully see you next time. Bye!